Okay. You want to do it?
Was it a very Vermont? Welcome to a hump day edition. Most folks paper the Bible, pest construction and roofing.
Good job. He even got hump day in there. How do you like that? So proud. So proud. Taught him so well. Okay. You heard the man. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a hump day edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, an in transit edition on this rainy Wednesday morning. Um, Presented by Brock, the Veterans Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing, Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. I'll make sure I get everything linked and pinned and all that stuff here in a bit. Okay. Couple things on the docket. Are y'all, I'm a guess by now you have heard, read, seen my, the segment I did on AFR. I also included in today's Locked On. Talk about it here, but it's LSU's very real CFP path. Almost like stunningly doable. If you hadn't heard it, I'll give you a quick recap. But basically, if LSU wins their next three, which I'm not saying that's easy, I'm not going to say they're going to do it, especially considering the way they played the last game and a half defensively in the turnovers and like they got problems. But this is also a team that won six in a row, that beat Ole Miss, beat Arkansas up there in a very convincing win. Oh God, rain, go away. Anyway, dead stop traffic. No bueno. Anyway, um, so if LSU wins out, if Georgia beats Tennessee this weekend, that would give Tennessee a second loss. And if Arkansas beats Missouri, but let me not say that part yet. Let me go one step at a time to explain this. All right, so LSU wins out, Georgia beats Tennessee. That means Texas and Texas A&M would be the only one-loss teams in the conference. They're going to play in the final weekend of the regular season, and one of them will obviously lose. So go this way. And so the winner of Texas A&M would have one loss and would be in the SEC championship game. The loser would have two losses. So now you would have six teams, or possibly seven teams, with two losses. LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama, and then whichever Texas or Texas A&M loses go this way, loses their regular season finale. That'd be six. Now there's a possibility of Missouri as well, but I wouldn't worry about that. Because Missouri doesn't really factor in. You actually need Missouri to lose. I'll explain that in a second. So you'd have one team in, right? The winner of Texas A&M, and you'd have six teams all at 6-2. Well, how do you decide who goes? Well, you go to the SEC tiebreakers. Well, the first tiebreaker is head-to-head. Well, you don't have head-to-head among all the teams. Someone asked me, he's like, well, I don't get it. LSU lost to Alabama. They did, but Alabama lost to Tennessee. And you could do this whole round-robin thing where LSU beat Ole Miss. Well, Ole Miss beat Georgia. Well, Georgia, in this case, will have beaten Tennessee. Will Tennessee beat Bama? Will Bama beat LSU? And so head-to-head doesn't work because everybody will have beaten everybody. So you go to the second tiebreaker, which is you find the common opponents among all of the tied teams, and you look at your record among common opponents. Go this way, where there aren't common opponents, where all six of the teams I just mentioned all played a common opponent. So you can't go to that one. The next one is the highest ranked or highest finished in the standings common opponent. Well, obviously no common opponent, so that one goes away. So you go to the fourth tiebreaker, which is your cumulative opponent's SEC winning percentage. So, for example, you would take LSU's 8 opponents, look at all of their win-loss record in the SEC, total it up, and what's the winning percentage. We do that for all the tied teams. When you do that for all the tied teams, LSU wins the tiebreaker. And it's bizarre because one of the reasons it happened is Mississippi State and Auburn, who are awful this year, who you played every year forever, you didn't play this year. So, like, Georgia played both. Alabama played both. Go this way. So you have this situation where your opponent's win-loss percentage in SEC gives LSU the tiebreaker. Now, as of today, LSU and Alabama are tied with a 520 winning percentage. All of the games aren't what and what. So what you're pulling for here is teams that LSU played that Alabama didn't play to win, and teams that Alabama played that LSU didn't to lose. And sometimes when they go head to head. So, for example, that's why I mentioned Arkansas. LSU played Arkansas, Alabama played Missouri. In that game, if Arkansas beats Missouri, which I think they can and will, if Arkansas beats Missouri, then LSU's winning percentage goes up and Alabama's winning percentage goes down. Another game this weekend worth keeping an eye on is South Carolina against Missouri. Now, Alabama and LSU both played South Carolina. So if South Carolina wins this game, it helps LSU. It also helps Alabama. But Alabama played Missouri, so Alabama's opponent takes an L. Pretty crazy when you think of it. But there is just a real possibility, go this way, of if LSU wins out and Georgia beats Tennessee this weekend, which they're in Athens and Georgia's a 10-point home favorite, then LSU's going to go to the SEC championship game against the winner of Texas A&M, which let's assume it's A&M. Then you get a rematch with A&M for the SEC championship. And if you win that, you go to the playoff as a top 4 seed with a bye. I mean, y'all, the melt out of Tuscaloosa would be so epic. And I'd just love to see LSU go to Atlanta and win an SEC championship. Christian, what's good? Good morning. Stephen Miller, good morning. Bubba Smith, good morning. Taylor, good morning. Go this way. Go this way. Everyone's saying go this way. Go what way? Go what way?
Go this way.
Go this way. What do y'all think about that? Like, that is such a wild scenario to think. Like, and it's not like you got to have 15 things happen. You got to win out, which I'm not saying is easy. And I don't know if LSU will. I mean, you got to go play at Florida this weekend. And so, I mean, you could lose that game. But if you're facing Aiden Warner instead of DJ Lagway, I mean, their third string quarterback who can't run, and Florida's got the worst defense you faced all year. I mean, just don't turn the ball over. Juan, good morning. All right. Going to Gainesville. Club, good morning. Weston, good morning. Yeah, man. And the thing about, like, so you're telling me there's a chance thing. Like, the funny part about that is that's the whole Dumb and Dumber skit where it's like the 1 in a million. You're telling me there's a chance. What was all that 1 in a million talk? That was improbable. This, I mean, it's not that crazy. I mean, guys, we could come out of Saturday if LSU beats Florida and Georgia beats Tennessee, which both are doable. Like, you will come out of Saturday with LSU controlling its destiny for the SEC championship. with home games against Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. I mean, that's so wild, but it's the reality. Um, so look at games where teams Alabama played. And the reason I keep saying Alabama is because if you look at the opponent's win percentage that I was talking about, LSU's at 520 tied with Alabama. The next closest team, I think, is Georgia at like 438. So it's like it's not even close. It's like it's LSU and then it's not close. Now, the other thing that would be awesome, it would make this really easy, is if Alabama lost to Oklahoma or to Auburn. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen, but I also have seen Alabama look very flawed this year, losing to Vanderbilt, losing to Tennessee, um, struggling at home against South Carolina, struggling at home against South Florida, blowing a 28-point lead to Georgia. I mean, that's far from a perfect team. Boy, it'd be so great if they could lose to Oklahoma. But you know, the other thing that the way this is formatted makes me think, well, a lot of people don't like the auto bids for the conferences or whatever. This does lessen the blow of losing a marquee non-conference game, right? So you lose to USC, and while that has cost you your at-large opportunity, you still, as long as you still have an opportunity to win your league, go this way, you know, you still have a chance for the playoff. So I love the expanded playoff, man. Golly. It just gives you margin for error. It allows teams to improve. It gives you an opportunity to play meaningful games. I mean, think about it. If LSU were eliminated from playoff contention, like what were we all thinking after the Bama game? Oh, well, you're playing to try to get to 9 wins or 10 wins and go to the Cheez-It Bowl or whatever, Lion Quest, whatever it's called now. Like, you know, that's this conversation we're having right now is dramatically different than that conversation. Crazy. Thomas, good morning. Abner, good morning. Go this way. Jacob, my wife said when I heard your voice, I turned into a fangirl. On Crane and Company. Yeah, man, the Crane and Company guys are great. If you're not familiar with them, so the interesting story, if you don't know the quick backstory, what? Go this way. So Jake Crane, was a college football coach. He coached at South Alabama, and I think he was in the JUCO ranks, coached at South Alabama, and then I think he went to Montana, if I'm not mistaken. And he was, you know, he was back home. He lives in he lives in Nashville now. He was in Alabama. Maybe he's living in Atlanta at the time. I don't know. I think he was in Birmingham. His dad, I think, played football at Auburn years ago. Go this way. He's back home and he started doing a podcast, and it started to gain some traction because he was talking about some recruiting stuff. And he was about to get on a plane to go back to Montana, and he just decided he wasn't going to go, that he was just going to go all in on the media thing and try to pursue it, and he wasn't going to coach anymore. Go this way. And so 3 or 4 years ago, it was when Media Days was in. The last time it was in Hoover. I met Jake. So Jake was doing his podcast. I think it was just like the J Boy show at that or something like that. And I think his brother Blaine came along like to media days to help like as a runner and stuff. And then David Cone, who's from Georgia, go this way, who played football in Michigan, was living in Atlanta and was a video guy, like owned a video company and stuff. And so he told Jake, hey, I'll come do all your video. I'll just do it for you. And so that's how I met the three of them at media days. And we all kind of, befriended each other, our group and their group. So we stayed in touch. And obviously his show kept growing. Colin Coward picked him up on Volume. He was on Volume for a year. They didn't renew because they had an offer from Daily Wire, and so they've been on the Daily Wire network since. I guess that's 2 years now, maybe. But really cool story of how they've built their thing and how it all came to be and all that stuff. But yeah, love those guys. Ethan, good morning.
Goose. Goose. Goose.
Trying to read that. While I give him money. So, all right. So you're asking about Brian. I think you're asking about Brian Kelly and why you give him the contract and all. So go this way. Okay. So, Ethan, I think I got the gist of your question. I'm driving, so I'm gonna not look down and look at the entire question. I'm gonna drive. Okay, so let's go back. You're saying why you give Brian Kelly that contract and all the money, yada yada yada. Okay. Well, first of all, you give Brian Kelly the contract you did because that's the only way that you're getting Brian Kelly to leave Notre Dame, right? LSU had a lot of appeal because Brian Kelly had been at Notre Dame for a dozen years, and he had probably bumped up against the glass ceiling there. He got them to a BCS championship game, 2 playoffs, and they got there and they got walloped. As I've said many times, that's not a Brian Kelly problem. That's a Notre Dame problem. You're not winning. Look at what happened to Washington last year, or any other team like that that's ever made the playoffs. You can get there, but eventually you're going to run up against Alabama or Georgia or Clemson in those years, and it's not going to go well for you. You got to have the players. Well, he looked at LSU and realized, man, Les Miles at Ogeron won championships there. I'm a better coach than them. I can win. So there was the allure of coming to LSU, but you still had to make it work financially. So you give him the 10-year, $95 million deal with 90% of it guaranteed with all the terms. Now, when it comes to coaches' contracts, go this way. So when it comes to coaches' contracts, the point I will always make is, and have always made is, nobody cares about the amount of a contract if the coach is winning. Nobody in Alabama cared that they were paying Nick Saban $11, $12 million a year. He was probably underpaid because he was winning. Lower. So when Brian Kelly gets cranked up and is in the playoff and competing for winning championships, nobody's going to care about his contract. Okay? So that's one part. If you want to ask why they gave him that deal, that's why. Now, the other part that you asked is about if you're just trying to get there. Excuse me. I cursed on morning Scone. I broke my own rule. Don't get. Oh my God. Sorry, y'all. So you mentioned, Bama and Georgia. The reality is, Ethan, go this way. That's doable because you've seen Alabama and Georgia do it. It's also the extreme outlier. By the way, the 2 programs you mentioned, Alabama and Georgia, both have 2 SEC losses this year as well. So it's kind of the forever lingering curse. I mean, it took Kirby 6 years at Georgia before he won. And then he won back-to-back. And then last year, they lost in the SEC championship game to Bama. This year, they've got 2 losses. So, like, I think the reality is, like, having to look at what Nick Saban did for as long as he did it has completely poisoned everybody's mind and what is a realistic expectation for what a program, a good program should be. Because Nick won 6 titles in 12 years, and you're thinking, why can't we do that? Like, because nobody does that. Nobody does that literally ever. Like, it sucks that he did it in your division and you had to watch him do it, especially with the knowledge that he was once your coach. But nobody is Nick Saban. Brian Kelly's not. I got newsflash. Brian Kelly's not Nick Saban. Stunning. Like, he's not ever going to win 6 titles in 12 years at LSU. I'll go ahead and put that one out there. So, like, is he going to be able to recruit at an elite level and build a championship caliber roster? Yes, like, he's literally doing it right now. He built the staff now to do it, and they're doing it, and that's great. Go this way. Some days I'm not in the mood to go this way. So anyway, if I told you when you hired Brian Kelly, you're going to give Kelly that 10-year contract and he's going to win 1 national championship, would you take it? I would. And by the way, if you want to say, well, then why would you hire Kelly back then if that's the contract it took? Because you had paid Ed Ogeron and his staff $20 million to go away. If you're Scott Woodward and you're going to go to your boosters and say, I need $20 million to pay off this staff to get them out of here, and then the hire you make is Billy Napier, is not a marquee name. Like, now that's your neck on the line. So let's not get it twisted, man. Like, you can have all this revisionist history, hindsight 2020 and everything, but everybody, when LSU hired Brian Kelly, was praising the hire as far as being a big name splash hire and a coup to get Brian Kelly, with, winningest coach in Notre Dame history out of South Bend and all that sort of stuff. So you can look back now after the blowout loss to Alabama and say, what were you doing? Well, we were all in favor of what he was doing at the time. Trey, good morning. Steven, Tiger Diver. I can't focus on all after watching 6 quarters. So do I think they have a shot of winning the SEC championship game? Against either Texas or Texas A&M? Go this way. I think Texas, probably not. I just think Texas is hey, Steven, I'll put it this way, man. The best comp for what could happen is 2001. 2001, LSU got absolutely walloped on their home field by Florida. I mean, it was embarrassing.
No.
They lost at Tennessee.
No.
In a competitive game, a game where they couldn't tackle Kelly or guard Kelly Washington. And then they go into November and they lose a home game to Ole Miss, where Eli Manning, as a sophomore, led a 4th quarter comeback. It was so disappointing. But LSU got a few breaks. And as that season went along, you remember Rohan and Mike Clayton and Josh Reed really got into a groove, and they kept getting better and better and better. And they put up 500 yards passing against Alabama, Claudette. In Tuscaloosa, they beat Arkansas. And then they got some help, oddly, from Alabama, who beat Auburn in a big time upset. And then LSU beat Auburn. to win the West and go to Atlanta as a 5-3 SEC team, and they had to play number 2 Tennessee in a rematch of a game they lost on the road in Knoxville. And I remember leaving that stadium. I was in Knoxville that day. It's like, man, you want another shot at those guys, because it felt like LSU let one get away. And you go to Atlanta and you upset Tennessee 31-20, and you go to the Sugar Bowl and you beat the mess out of Illinois, and it was a lot of fun. So listen, the coaches and players don't need to be focusing on that at all. They got to go beat Florida. So I'm with you. This is a fun fan media conversation we can have. But we'll wait and see how it all plays out. All right, I'm at where are we? We are. All right, I'm going to let Drew get out, and I got to go about the day. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Shout out to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parrish Construction and Roofing. Need an orthopedic, go to Brock. You need a roof, call Parrish. Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com, semaglutide, tirzepatide, the once-a-week injections for weight loss. No contracts, lowest prices, telemed, and they can ship your medicine anywhere. Uniquephysique.com and Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Okay, y'all have an awesome day. We'll see you. Peace.